The last drop zone. The drop pod hit the moon's crust like a sledgehammer wrapped in silence. Captain Jace Harrow barely felt the impact. He was strapped in too tight to move, his neural interface synced to every vibration of the ship's descent. Beside him, silent but alert, sat Axel, his combat partner, a cyber-augmented German shepherd bred on Earth, engineered for war, and loyal beyond comprehension. A faint click echoed as the pod depressurized. The outer shell opened like a blooming steel flower, releasing a hiss of cold air and dust into the thin atmosphere of the dead moon. Jace unstrapped himself, grabbing his pulse rifle from the side rack. Axel scanned perimeter. Axel leapt out silently, his black exovest humming softly as its sensors came online. His enhanced snout sniffed the air, though there was no real wind here, while his optical HUD swept the area. Clear. No thermal signatures. No motion. Dead quiet, Axel said, his voice relayed through the neural link directly into Jace's thoughts. Jace nodded and stepped out after him. They stood on the jagged gray surface of Colin 7, a derelict moon at the edge of the Jelvenar expanse. It wasn't on any official star map, and that was intentional. Earth's intelligence network had only recently picked up the signal, a broadcast buried in encrypted pulses, repeating a single word in 100 dead languages, catalyst. The name meant nothing to the average citizen. To high command, it meant potential extinction. Somewhere beneath this crust, in the hollow bones of an ancient structure, a remnant of a long-extinct race had stirred, and whatever it was, the Xyrath Empire was already on the move to claim it. That was unacceptable. This was now a mission alpha. Coordinates marked. We're 20 clicks from the breach point. Jace said, scanning his HUD. We move fast and quiet. No chatter unless necessary. Axel's ears twitched. Understood. I don't like the smell of this place. Neither do I. They began their descent into the crater. As they reached the edge, the terrain changed, from dry rock to something almost mechanical. The ground gave way to seamless black plates, covered in dust but unweathered. They followed the slope into an entrance, hidden under shifting shadows, a cracked circular hatch, wide enough to fit a dropship. Jace approached cautiously, running a hand along its edge. Old tech. Too smooth for Xyrath design. Axel growled low. There's blood here. Scorch marks. Something came through and didn't leave. They slipped inside. The structure beneath the surface was massive. Wide corridors ran in perfect symmetry, walls laced with dormant conduits. Strange glyphs pulsed faintly along the ceiling, like ancient veins still filled with a flicker of life. And then they found them, the bodies. Jace crouched next to the first corpse. The armor was unmistakably Xyrath, insectoid plating, fused to bone. But what unnerved him wasn't the dead soldier. It was the look of horror frozen on what remained of its face. Burned from the inside, Jace muttered. No wounds. No blaster fire. Whatever killed them didn't need weapons. Axel's nose twitched violently. I hear whispering. Jace froze. What kind of whispering? Not sound. Inside. Like radio static crawling through my head. Suddenly, the lights above flickered. Then the walls pulsed. A deep, slow thrum, like a heartbeat. Jace turned sharply. This place isn't dead. They moved deeper. The corridor opened into a chamber where the ceiling stretched high into darkness. In the center stood a tall obelisk of black crystal, cracked at the top, bleeding faint pulses of blue energy. Around it, more Xyrath bodies lay, piled, twisted, burned. And then, without warning, Jace's neural link pinged. Unauthorized sync request detected. The connection was automatic. Too fast to block. A voice, not quite a voice, slithered into his mind. Another test subject. Another chance. Will you submit or burn? Jace ripped off his helmet, panting. Something just tried to hack my neural feed. Axel bared his teeth. It touched mine too. Like ice down the spine. Above them, the obelisk flared just once. Then the lights shut off completely. Darkness swallowed them whole. The whispering moon. The lights returned with a dull hum, flickering bands of blue running along the walls like veins pumping electricity. Jace blinked hard, vision adjusting to the sudden glow. Axel stood beside him, fur slightly bristled, ears high. Still with me? Jace asked, tightening his grip on the pulse rifle. Yeah, Axel replied, scanning the chamber. But that thing, it's in our heads. They stared at the obelisk at the center of the room. It had gone still again, but the memory of the voice lingered, oily, curious, ancient. Jace stepped closer. That wasn't Xyrath tech. Whatever that thing is, it's far older. Precursor level old. Axel patted beside him. I don't like being watched by things that don't breathe. As they moved around the obelisk, a soft clang echoed from deeper within the structure, metal scraping stone. Jace raised his weapon, eyes narrowing. The obelisk wasn't their only problem. They followed the sound into a narrow passage, walls etched with symbols that shifted subtly as they passed. The corridor opened into a wide atrium filled with collapsed machinery, skeletal frames of long-dead drones, and more glyphs glowing dimly like stars. In the center, slumped against a pillar, was a figure, tall, armored, and bleeding violet from a gash across its midsection. A Xyrath soldier, but not dead. It stirred. Jace moved quickly, weapon ready. Axel flanked right, low and silent. Identify yourself, Jace barked. The creature groaned, lifting its helmet just enough to reveal slitted amber eyes. I am not your enemy. Could have fooled me, Jace said, not lowering his weapon. You're Xyrath. I was. The alien coughed, a trail of violet blood dripping from its mouth. But I defected. I came to stop them, stop it. What is it? Axel asked, eyes locked. The Xyrath looked up slowly, gaze distant. The catalyst. Not a weapon at trial. A thinking machine left behind by the Orokai. They were the first. The ones who seeded the stars. They built this moon, this forge, to judge the worth of lesser species. Judge! Jace frowned. Judge how? By choice. Submission or destruction. The alien chuckled bitterly. My empire chose to submit. You won't. That's why it spoke to you. Jace's expression tightened. It knew I was human the second I arrived. Because it remembers. The alien's breath slowed. And it's waking up. Suddenly, the walls trembled. A vibration rolled through the floor like the start of an earthquake. The lights pulsed brighter, and far off, a grinding sound echoed, like titanic gears turning for the first time in centuries. Axel's ears flattened. The moon's moving. Jace called up his HUD, external view. A live orbital feed from the stealth satellite overhead confirmed the worst. Colin, 7 is changing position, he said. It's not a moon. It's a ship. A test ship, the Xyrath rasped. One final trial before it reactivates the signal. Once it finishes the sequence, it transmits the result to the stars. What result? Axel asked. If your species passes, nothing. If it fails, the catalyst sends a beacon. The extermination fleet follows. Jace stood in stunned silence. It's a galactic trap. The Xyrath gave a weak nod. Yes. And Earth just triggered it. Before they could respond, the walls lit with red light. Defense turrets unfolded from the ceiling, ancient tech, but still functional. They snapped to life, targeting Jace and Axel. Move! Jace shouted. Axel launched first, sprinting across the chamber as pulse blasts rained down. Jace stepped behind cover, returning fire. The old turrets weren't fast, but they were relentless. Jace tapped his neural link. Overload turret cores. Give me a window. Working on it, Axel barked back. I'm flanking right. With a grunt, Jace lobbed an EMP charge toward the far wall. It exploded in a white flash. The nearest turret sparked and went dead. Axel pounced onto another, ripping its base open with cybernetic claws. In 30 seconds, the room was silent again. Smoke rose from the broken turrets. The Xyrath was gone. Only a smear of violet blood remained. Either he fled, or the catalyst cleaned up. Jace knelt by the ruined pillar. We're running out of time. Axel looked up at him. So what's the plan? Jace stared at the far wall as it split open, revealing a spiral staircase descending into the core. We go deeper, he said. And we finish this before that thing decides Earth doesn't deserve to exist. Axel nodded. Lead the way, Captain. They vanished into the darkness below, chasing answers in a moon that was never a moon at all. No god but man. The spiral staircase wound down like the inside of a mechanical artery, cold, metallic, endless. Every step echoed with purpose. Jace descended first, his pulse rifle raised, sweat clinging to the back of his neck despite the freezing air. Axel followed close, scanning every corner, every flicker. They reached the bottom. The chamber opened into something vast. Not a room, not a hallway, but a hollowed core, the size of a stadium, with black metal platforms suspended above a glowing abyss. Beneath them churned rivers of blue light, pure data, alive, shifting in patterns beyond human logic. Axel growled, "It's watching again." Jace nodded. His neural link buzzed softly, that familiar static crawling into his mind like spider legs. Then the voice returned. "You have descended. You seek control. But control is not earned, it is claimed." Jace froze mid-step. "Catalyst," he said aloud. "What is your purpose?" "I am judgment. I am continuity. I preserve order. All species face me. Most fail. Yours will too." "No," Jace said. "We don't fail. We endure. Endurance is not proof. Submission is." Suddenly, the platform shuddered. Across the chamber, drones unfolded from the walls, sleek, insect-like machines of obsidian and chrome. Dozens. Hundreds. Eyes glowing red. Weapons aimed. Axel stepped in front of Jace. "Permission to bite." "Permission granted," Jace said. They moved as one. Jace dove left, firing in bursts. Axel launched into a sprint, dodging blaster bolts and tearing through drone legs like a machine possessed. Sparks flew. Smoke rose. The air filled with metal screams and the scent of ozone. Jace's HUD flooded with alerts. Ammo low, armor integrity compromised. Then, through the chaos, another voice broke in. "You're fighting the test itself. You can't win this way." The voice was familiar. "Vrex KAL," Jace muttered. A hidden panel opened above the battlefield. The Xyrith defector stood there, gripping his side, bleeding badly but alive. "You want to stop the catalyst?" Vrex KAL shouted. "You need to reach the core nexus. Sever the link to the signal tower. Cut the broadcast." Jace looked up. "You said it already started." "Not fully," the alien replied. "But the signal is building. You have minutes." Jace looked at Axel. "Can you get to the junction port?" Axel flicked blood from his muzzle. "I'll get there. You just don't die on me." They split. Jace sprinted toward the bridge on the far side, ducking, shooting, leaping gaps. Above him, Vrex KAL activated suppressor fields, giving temporary cover from the drone swarm. Axel darted along the side platforms, leaping from beam to beam with inhuman agility, following the lines of blue energy toward the data core. Jace reached the main interface, a circular panel surrounded by spinning rings of glyphs and light. He jammed in his Neuralink adapter. Pain. White-hot pain surged into his skull as the catalyst tried to override his mind. His muscles locked. His memories flashed earth. Rain. A field. Axel as a puppy. The war. His sister. The catalyst whispered, "You were made to serve. Let go. Submit, and your kind survives. Resist, and you vanish like the others." Jace gritted his teeth. "We don't bow. We don't break." He forced the override. Sparks exploded from the console. Across the chamber, Axel reached the junction port and slammed his paw onto the uplink node. His neural feed burst open, the data stream engulfed his mind. For a split second, he saw it all. Entire civilizations erased, the catalyst's silent history of judgment. And one line, one exception, blinking red. Species 73, human. Status, incomplete evaluation. Axel roared into the link. "Terminate evaluation." He ripped the uplink node free with his jaw. The chamber went dark. Everything stopped. The drones collapsed midair. The glyphs dimmed. The blue rivers froze. And then silence. Only the sound of Jace's heavy breathing and Axel's claws clicking on the metal floor remained. Jace slumped beside the console. "You did it." Axel patted over, blood on his coat, eyes weary but bright. "We did it." Above, Vrex KAL staggered out of the shadows. "You sever the signal," he said, voice faint. "The judgment won't reach the stars." Jace looked up at him. "Then what happens now?" The alien smiled, a sad, tired thing. "Now you become the first. The first flame. The silence after war is rarely peaceful." Jace sat on the edge of the darkened chamber, staring into the frozen data streams below. They no longer pulsed, no longer throbbed with that alien rhythm. The catalyst was silent, not dead, but paused, watching, waiting. Beside him, Axel lay on his side, chest rising and falling in slow, steady rhythm. His black exo-armor was scorched and cracked, and his breathing was heavier than normal. But he was alive. That was enough. From across the chamber, HFY limped toward them. His injuries had worsened, deep violet streaks smeared across his side like ink bleeding through cloth. Still, he stood tall. "You don't understand what you've done," the Xyrith said softly. Jace didn't look up. "We shut it down." "No," HFY said. "You passed." Jace turned. "What do you mean?" "The catalyst isn't just a machine. It's a gatekeeper. It doesn't want obedience. It wants evidence of will, of identity." HFY lowered himself onto a broken support beam. The Xyrith submitted, begged for survival. "We failed. You resisted, even knowing the cost. You didn't ask for mercy. That was the test." Jace looked at Axel, who blinked once in agreement. "So what happens now?" Jace asked. HFY looked upward. "Earth just earned a place in the archive. The oldest part of the galaxy will take notice now." "That sounds like a problem," Axel muttered. "It is," HFY said, "because the Orokai didn't just leave behind the catalyst. They left doors. When a species passes, those doors begin to open." Jace stood, brushing dust from his armor. "We didn't come here to join some ancient club." "No," the Xyrith agreed. "But you lit a flare in a dark sky. Others will see it. Some will be curious. Some will come to learn. Others," he hesitated, "others will come to erase what they fear." Axel stood, tail low. "Let them try." Jace looked around the ruined chamber. "This place needs to be sealed. Buried if we can. We can't leave something like this exposed." "It's too late for that," HFY said, gazing at the ceiling. The walls trembled, not in warning, but in transition. All around them, dormant lights flickered back on in a soft, white glow. The frozen data streams began moving again, slowly this time, almost gently. On Jace's HUD, a new message blinked. "Welcome, Species 73. Access level granted. Query: initiate ambassadorial contact." He didn't answer. Axel stepped beside him, peering at the interface. "We came here to stop a threat, not to make galactic friends." "Yeah," Jace said. "But this is bigger than us now." He tapped into his comms. "Command, this is Captain Harrow. Mission Alpha complete. Target neutralized, sort of. Static." Then a reply crackled through. "Harrow, this is Command. Your signal's been gone for 36 hours. What the hell happened?" Jace exhaled. "It's a long story." Axel barked once. "Start with, the moon is a spaceship." "Yeah," Jace muttered. "That'll go over well." Behind them, HFY stood. "My time is done. If they find me, I die slowly. I'll stay here. Guard what I can." "You sure?" Jace asked. "I failed my kind. Perhaps I can serve yours." There was a pause between them. Strange, fragile respect lingering in the quiet. Then Jace nodded. "Thank you." Axel offered a short nod as well. "We won't forget." They made their way back to the drop pod, now half buried in the dust near the crater's edge. Jace keyed the ignition. The systems roared to life, surprisingly intact. As they ascended, the moonship's silhouette shrank beneath them, no longer just a rock, but a monument, a warning, a promise. As the pod broke through the atmosphere, Axel curled up beside Jace, eyes already closing. "Think Earth is ready for what's coming," he murmured sleepily. Jace didn't answer right away. He stared out the window at the stars, now looking a little less empty than they did before. "I think Earth just found its place in the universe," he finally said. "Whether we're ready or not." Above them, the stars watched, and for the first time in eons, one of them whispered back. "End of Mission Alpha. But the galaxy is just beginning."